which helps dispel the ignorance about the law of cause and effect. The deeper level is understanding the absolute nature of reality, which helps eliminate the basic ignorance. What is reality? Reality is understood as the totality of objects, phenomena, and events occurring at the present moment. Reality comprises two parts: objective reality. These are the objective objects and phenomena that exist externally. Human perception of reality. This involves the subjective process where the senses receive information from the outside world and respond to it. Specifically, when the eyes see an object, the brain recognizes what it is. Then attitudes arise, followed by responses through words, actions, and finally, the result is either happiness or suffering. A similar process occurs with the other senses. Thus, objective reality plays a significant role in shaping human perception and responses. However, each person's understanding of reality varies, based on both materialism and idealism. In Buddhism, reality is divided into two categories: form, material, and name, mental. Yet, each person combines both perspectives when perceiving the surrounding world. No one adheres entirely to either materialism or idealism. Therefore, reality is complex, comprising both objective and subjective elements. Each individual perceives reality based on their own cognitive foundation. Right view, wrong view. From the materialist perspective, the material world is the ultimate reality. Materialism holds that matter is inherent, eternally existing, neither created nor destroyed, but simply transformed from one state to another. The mind, consciousness, is merely a byproduct of the movement and interaction of material elements in the universe and the human brain. Accordingly, all phenomena, objects like shapes, sounds, smells, emotions, joy, sorrow, belong to the material world. They exist naturally, not created by the mind. Materialism also believes that happiness and suffering are inherent in the material world, created by objective circumstances. Therefore, according to materialism, the only way to end suffering is to change and improve external material conditions. Materialism completely denies the existence of the soul, the spiritual world, and rejects the law of karma and rebirth. However, Buddhism considers this viewpoint to be mistaken, because no matter how much one improves the material environment, the suffering in the human mind cannot be ended without a correct understanding of the deep causes of suffering. Thus, Buddhism refers to this as right view, attachment to existence, wrong view. Annihilationism, denial, regarding reality. From the idealist perspective, there exists an immutable, eternal spiritual world alongside this impermanent material world of phenomena. This spiritual world is referred to as God, the Creator, Allah, Buddha nature, etc., depending on the religion. Idealism posits that the entire material universe, with its myriad phenomena and objects, is created and governed by the spiritual world. It is this spiritual world that formed the human body and endowed each person with an immortal soul, happiness and suffering. According to idealism, happiness exists in the material world, such as in money, property, beauty, and pleasant sounds. Suffering is present in difficult, adverse circumstances. However, the material goods or adverse conditions people experience are the result of the reward and punishment by the spiritual world. All human emotions of joy, sadness, fortune, misfortune also stem from the spiritual world as rewards or punishments. Those who do good deeds receive blessings, while the wicked are punished with suffering. Therefore, the only way to liberation from suffering is to pray and worship the spiritual world. However, Buddhism regards this as a mistaken view, called annihilationism, because no matter how much one prays or repents, suffering cannot end without understanding its deep-rooted inner causes. To fully liberate from suffering, one must develop wisdom to see the impermanent nature of all phenomena. The Buddha's enlightenment on the reality of feelings. Whether through materialism or idealism, humans understand reality as the external world consisting of form, sound, smell, taste, touch, and dharmas. Historically, only the Buddha achieved self-enlightenment that reality is truly feelings. In the Pham Vong Sutra, the Buddha declared hundreds of times, through the clear vision of birth, the allure, the danger, and the escape of feelings, the Tathagata is fully liberated. This indicates that the Buddha's enlightenment on reality was on feelings when the six sense bases contact the six sense objects. Thus, to understand the Buddha's enlightenment, one must contemplate the reality of feelings when the senses contact the external world. Reality as experience. For example, a healthy person eating an apple realizes its sweetness, implying that sweetness is a material property, inherently present, consistently present, and permanently residing in the apple. This is the materialist perspective. However, with the same apple in the same person, if they are ill for 6-7 days, and most notably with COVID, loss of taste, when eating, it may taste bitter, leading to the conclusion that sweetness is not in the apple. Sweetness is not real. Sweetness is created by the mind. This is the idealist perspective. If one carefully observes the truth according to the principle of dependent origination, the law of cause and effect, many causes interact, contact condition with each other, then together cease, giving rise, originate, to one or more effects. The apple is one cause and the tongue is the second cause. With two causes but no contact between them, no sweetness or bitterness arises. When the two causes, the tongue and the apple, come into contact, the feeling of sweetness or bitterness, depending on health or illness, immediately arises, and simultaneously, the direct sensory perception really recognizes and records the feeling of sweetness. Tongue contacting the apple, taste object, gives rise to. When contact arises, arises, and when contact ceases, ceases. Therefore, the feeling of sweetness and direct perception arise and then cease are not permanent, do not permanently reside in the apple or in the tongue, thus they are impermanent. The feeling of sweetness and direct perception are not owned by the tongue, nor are they owned by the apple. Thus they are ownerless, without possession, anatta. Hence, the object of reality as perceived is the feeling of sweetness or bitterness, belonging to the category of name, mental, and not the sweet apple belonging to the material world. Direct perception knows the feeling of sweetness, not the sweet apple. The truth is, the mind knows the mind, feeling, not the mind knows the seen, world, as humanity understands. Similarly, eye contacting form object gives rise to, ear contacting sound object gives rise to, nose contacting smell object gives rise to, tongue contacting taste object gives rise to, body with touch object gives rise to, mind contacting mental object gives rise to. The five senses of vision, hearing, smell, taste, and touch are stored in memory as encoded information. When the mind, manas, contacts mental objects, dharmas, these sensations are replayed, termed as the sensation of mental objects, and the recognition or awareness of these sensations is known as thought consciousness, mano vijnana. The object of reality, that is, what is seen, heard, felt, are the six types of sensations, including the sensation of images, sound, smell, taste, touch, and mental belonging to the mental category, not the material world of form, sound, smell, taste, touch, dharmas, as misunderstood by humanity. These sensations arise from the contact of the sense bases with their objects. Thus, they are impermanent, ownerless, and without possession, anatta. The truth is, eye consciousness perceives the sensation of images, not the form object. Ear consciousness hears the sensation of sounds, not the sound object. Nose consciousness feels the sensation of smell, not the smell object. Tongue consciousness tastes the sensation of flavor, not the taste object. Body consciousness feels the sensation of touch, not the touch object. Mind consciousness knows the sensation of mental objects, not the mental object itself. The reality objects that humanity lives with, such as size, shape, length, color, taste, texture, gender, buildings, trees, vehicles, etc., that humans see, hear, and feel are sensations, feelings, arising from the contact of the sense bases with their objects, not the external world of form, sound, smell, taste, touch, dharmas. In situations like deep sleep without dreams, deep anesthesia during surgery, or fainting in an accident, the six sense bases, neural sensory cells, are inactive. Hence, there is no contact, and therefore no reality object. Objects of sensation and cognitive awareness arise simultaneously, the six sense bases. Contacting the six objects give rise to six sensations and six cognitive awarenesses summarized as follows. Contact, feeling thought. The six thoughts are the six direct sensory cognitions, abbreviated as intuition, consisting of eye consciousness, ear consciousness, nose consciousness, tongue consciousness, body consciousness, and mind consciousness, which are responsible for recognizing or being aware of the six feelings, psychologically referred to as sensory perception of objects. Direct cognition. Thought arises and ceases simultaneously with the object of sensation, neither before nor after, as observation of the truth shows. Contact arises. Contact ceases. When there is no longer contact, ceases. This truth contradicts materialism, where the material object is known to exist first and the cognition of the object follows, and also contradicts idealism, where the cognition of the object exists first and the material object is known to exist afterward. Recent discoveries in quantum physics